morning, students. How are you guys today? I'll be your marker tutor for English Module 3, BS English 21. Before we begin, I would love to introduce myself. My name is Mr. Ebenezer Kalola, and like I've said, I'll be your marker tutor for the academic year 2021. And without further ado, let's begin with our presentation. So, like I said, welcome to the subject English 3, and in this module, you will have the opportunity to acquaint yourself with the further features and structure of the English language. So, in this module, we're going to look at the features and the structures that make up the English language. So, we're going to look at the rules that govern the language. So, we have some learning outcomes in this module. So, upon completion of this module, you should be able to discuss some language elements underpinning writing. You should be able to develop understanding of vocabulary. You should be able to explain some writing basics. You should be able to explain the characteristics of essay writing and some transactional writings. And you should also be able to explain the characteristics of additional transactional writings and able to teach them. Another thing that you must be able to do after this, after going through this module, you must be able to discuss issues of assessment of English writing. You should also be able to discuss the methodology aspects for teaching the above outcomes. So, students, in this module, we're going to look at all the rules that govern the writing. We're going to look at how we write our essays, how do we write transactional writings, and what is the basics of the basics when it comes to writing, and also how to develop your understanding of your vocabulary, and how do you apply them when it comes to writing. So when it comes to assessment, you'll be required to do one assignment of 150 marks, which must be submitted for this module. A pass mark of 50% is required in this assignment to get admission to the examination. The examination paper will have the same format as the assignment, and it will count for 150 marks, and there's a 3-hour duration. And for this module, a final pass mark of 50% is required, 60% of the written examination plus 40% of the assignment. So in this presentation, we're going to cover 4 units. We're going to look at Unit 1, which covers some language elements underpinning writing. We're also going to look at Unit 2, which covers the development of vocabulary. And then Unit 3, which covers some writing basics, and then Unit 4, which covers the writing, the characteristic of essay writing and some transactional writings. The first thing you're going to look at is it's a standard language. The first thing you're going to look is a concept standard language. So we say standard language, also standard dialect or standard dialects, is a language variety used by a group of people in their public discourse. Alternatively, varieties become standard by undergoing a process of standardization, during which it is organized for description of grammar and dictionaries encoded in such reference works. Typically, varieties that become standardized are the local dialects spoken in the centers of commerce and government, where need arises for variety that will serve more than local needs. A standard language can either be pluricentric, for example, the English language, the German language, the Serbo-Croatian language, the French and the Portuguese, or the monocentric, example, the Icelandic language. So the English language, is a standard language. So what makes up a standard language? A standard language is the following features. It has a recognized dictionary. Which has a standardized spelling and vocabulary. It has a recognized grammar. It has a standard pronunciation, which is educated speech. It has a linguistic institution defining usage norms, example, academic franchise or real academic Espanol. It also has constitutional legal status, frequently as an official language. For instance, in Namibia, our official language is the English language. Hence, like I said, the English language is a standard language. The same applies for the French and the Portuguese language. All of these languages are standardized language, and they are official language of most African countries and also European countries. Another feature of a standard language is the effective public use, meaning it's used in the court, legislative, in schools. It's also used in public offices, such as in the government offices, and it also has a literal canon. It has a convenient speaking, and it also has popularity acceptance in the community. What do you mean when you say popularity and acceptance in the community? It is widely used everywhere you go. Right now, if you go in Namibia, in every school, in every government institutions, in business places, most people are speaking the English language. And if you go to Angola, if you go to schools, you go to government institutions, you go to banks, you go to business places, people would mostly use the Portuguese language, and it's a standard language. It is also used by a wide population. And then we move on to the 4 elements of a paragraph. We have 4 elements when it comes to paragraph writing. But before I discuss the 4 elements of a paragraph, I want to define what is a paragraph. So we say a paragraph is a group of related sentences that have the same argument for one main idea and they share the same focus. So whenever you're writing a paragraph, all the sentences in a paragraph, they must have the same elements that focus on one main idea. So now this paragraph must have 4 elements. The first element is coherence, the second element is unity, the third element is order, and then the fourth element is completeness. So let's look at unity, at the first element of a paragraph, unity. So we say unity in the paragraph begins with a topic sentence, and every paragraph has one single controlling idea that is expressed in its topic sentence, which is typically the first sentence of the paragraph. So what do we mean? What we mean is that every single sentence in the paragraph, they must have the same communication, they must have the same argument, they must have the same focus as a topic sentence. You might be wondering, what is a topic sentence? A topic sentence, it is a sentence in a paragraph that tells the reader what the paragraph is all about. It sets a tone. It sets the tone of the paragraph. So now, every sentence in the paragraph, they must all relate to this topic sentence. Because in the topic sentence, this is where we express the main idea for the paragraph. Now we say a paragraph is unified around this main idea that is expressed in the topic sentence. So when it comes to this main idea, it is going to be backed up. It is going to be supported by what we call supporting sentences. Now, what are these supporting sentences? These are sentences that give more details. These are sentences that give effects. These are sentences that give that elaborate. These are sentences that give examples that support the main idea that was expressed in the topic sentence. So we say, in order to write a good topic sentence, think about your theme and all the points you want to make. Decide which point drive the rest, and then write it as your topic sentence. Before I move on, let me just express this once again. A paragraph only communicates one main idea. A paragraph only communicates one main idea. A paragraph cannot have more than 2 main ideas, but only one main idea, and then this main idea is supported by what we call supporting sentence that backs up the main idea. And then we look at the second element of a paragraph, which is order. So we say order refers to the way you organize your supporting sentence. Whether you choose chronological order, order of importance, or another logical presence of detail, a solid paragraph always has a definite organization. In a well-ordered paragraph, the reader follows along easily, aided by the pattern you have established. Order helps the reader to grasp your meaning and avoid confusion. Now, when it comes to order, we are looking at different patterns that we use to organize our ideas. Like I mentioned, we have chronological orders, we have sequencing orders, we have the similarity and comparison order, and we also have the example order. There are so many organization patterns that you can use for you to organize your paragraph. And then we have coherence. Is another element of paragraph writing. So we say coherence is the quality that makes your writing understandable. Sentences within a paragraph need to connect to each other and work together as a whole. So how do we achieve this? We achieve it by using transitions, or what we call cohesive devices. Whenever you are writing an essay or writing a paragraph, I urge you to always use transitions or cohesive device. Why? Because this transition and cohesive device makes your writing to flow smoothly. So when you're going to write your ideas, when you're going to write your supporting sentences and so on, if you use transitions or cohesive devices, your ideas flows smoothly, and then your reader follows your ideas very well. So what are these words that we call transitions? So we have so many of them. We have transitions of addition, of consequence, of exemplification. We also have of similarities and comparison. For instance, we have words such as in addition, moreover, furthermore, in conclusion, in fact, in particular order, and so on. So those are the words that we call transitions, and we utilize them for us to be able to have coherence in our writing. So you can use transition words that shows order, first, for example, first, second, third, or special relationships such as above, below, or logic, which are furthermore, in addition, in fact. Also, in writing a paragraph, using a constant verb tense and point of view are important ingredients for coherency. I think I forgot to mention one thing when it comes to transitions. Where do we find transitions in a paragraph? We always find transitions at the beginning of a sentence. We always find transitions at the beginning of a sentence, and they are always followed by a comma. So if you're going to use the transition in your paragraph, it must be at the beginning of the sentence and followed by a comma. If you don't have a comma after the transition, you're going to be penalized for that. And then the last element of a paragraph is completeness. Completeness means a paragraph is well developed, and if all sentences clearly and sufficient support a main idea, then your paragraph is complete. How do we make our paragraph complete? By giving more details, by giving examples, by stating facts, by by quoting authorities on the subject you're writing. Whenever you use facts, whenever you use quotes, what do? You establish credibility. Whoever is going to read your paper will be aware that you are credible. And they will be able to trust you because you have used facts, you have used statistics, or you have referenced people that have said something on your topic. So always use facts, statistics, and also always quote people that have people or scholars that are well respected in the field that you are writing about. When you do that, you'll be labeled as a credible writer. So we say if there are not enough sentences or enough information to prove your thesis, then the paragraph is incomplete. So we must always make sure that you have enough information. Always have you have enough information to support your main point. Guys, you need to argue for your main point. You need to debate for your main point. So meaning you must be able to have more information to back up your claims. Usually three supporting sentences in addition to a topic sentence and a concluding sentence are needed for a paragraph to be complete. This is what I tell most students. A paragraph is a minimum of 3 sentences and a maximum of 5 sentences. I always advise students to have minimum of 3 sentences and 5 sentences. Why do I do this? It's not that I'm trying to limit you, but I'm doing it for your own cause. Because if you end up having a lot of sentences in your paragraph, you might end up going off trail. You might end up talking about things that are not necessary, or what we call irrelevant sentences. So for you to stick to your point, just stick to 3 sentences as a minimum and 5 sentences as a maximum. But if you are aware of your ability, that you won't end up derailing off track, you can have more than 5 sentences. But if you feel like no, you might end up saying things that are going to be labeled as irrelevant, stick to maximum 5 sentences. So we say the concluding sentence or last sentence of the paragraph should summarize your main point by reinforcing your topic sentence. So in other words, what you're saying is the concluding sentence in the paragraph, it sums up what you have discussed in your paragraph. And it also highlights the points that you have expressed in your paragraph. So I love to say this: a good concluding sentence sums up a well-written paragraph. The concluding sentence, it is the last impression that you are going to leave with the reader. So always make sure that you have written your concluding sentence very well. And then we move on to essay writing. What is an essay? So we say an essay is a piece of writing with more than one paragraph. It usually has 3 to 4 paragraphs. A good essay has 3 parts. It has the introductory paragraph, which is more like the topic sentence, because it introduces the topic or the main idea to the reader. And then you have the body paragraph, which is more like the supporting sentences, because this is where we go into details. This is where this is where we elaborate more, so that we can back up our thesis statement. And it also has a concluding paragraph, which is more like a concluding sentence. And this is where we summarize our ideas that we have expressed in the essay. So we have 4 types of essay that we are going to look at in this module. We have what we call argumentative essay, narrative essay, explanatory essays, and descriptive essay. So looking at the main parts of the essay, the first part, like I've said, is the introductory paragraph. So in the introductory paragraph, we state the main point in a thesis statement. We state the main point of our essay in a thesis statement. Now, what is this thesis statement? The thesis statement, it is the writer's attitude or the writer's opinion on the topic that he or she is writing about. So what we mean is this thesis statement, it guides you. It gives focus to your essay. Because throughout your essay you're going to argue for your thesis statement. You're going to give points. You're going to debate for your thesis statement. And then we have the body of supporting paragraph. Now these supporting paragraphs, these are paragraphs that back up your thesis statement. So they show, they explain or prove the main point. It generally has about 3 support paragraphs, which contain facts and details supporting the main points. Like I've mentioned before, you must always have facts and statistics or quotes authority in your essay so that you can establish credibility. And then we have the concluding paragraph. Now the concluding paragraph reminds the readers of the main point. It might also summarize the support or make an observation in a concluding sentence. Now this paragraph, it sums up what you have discussed in your essay. And in the concluding paragraph, we don't bring up anything new, but then we revisit what we have written before. So you cannot raise a new point in the concluding paragraph. No, but when you have to go back to our body paragraph and then highlights our main point that we have discussed throughout our essay. So a descriptive essay must have a good introductory and concluding paragraph. The writer's intention is to give a picture in words or a sense or impression. In order to describe something, one has to rely largely on one's senses. So a descriptive essay, this is what I love to tell people. A descriptive essay, it is an essay whereby you draw a picture. It is an essay whereby you become an artist. You become an artist whereby you draw a picture using words. You draw a picture using words. So there's some formulas or let me say there's some ways whereby you can draw a picture with words. The first one is that you place the description in a time, in a setting. If you're writing a descriptive essay, you must talk about the time and the setting where the event took place. You must use vivid descriptive verbs. You must also use powerful adjectives and adverbs. Use powerful adjectives and adverbs. These words make your writing colorful. They give more details. They give more description. And you must also use comparatives and similes. You must present the text in first or third person. And then let's look at the argumentative essay. So we say there are 2 main methods of presenting an argument, and in general, the one you choose will depend on exactly how the essay title is worded. The balanced view of the essay begins with something like: it gives the argument for and against. It assesses the importance of the topic. It examines the argument for and against again. It also talks about the advantages and disadvantages of the topic that you're covering. It evaluates the topic that you're covering. It critically examines the statement that you are going to give in your essay. And it also talks about the extent, like to what extent is your topic going to be covered. So whenever you are presenting an argumentative essay, you should present both sides of an argument without necessarily committing yourself to any points of view, which should always be based on evidence until the final paragraph. So when it comes to argumentative essay, you do not only look at one side, but then you look at the two sides of a story. Remember, there's a danger to a single side story. So you must look at two different perspectives. You must look at the advantages and the disadvantages. You must look at the cons and the pros. And then in your last paragraph, this is where you evaluate according to the facts that you have established, that you have presented in your essay. Another thing that we need to cover is punctuation mark. This is very important. Most students fail to use punctuation marks appropriately, and this is where my red pen works. So we're going to look at punctuation marks, starting with a period of full stop. When do we use a period of full stop? We use a period of full stop to mark the end of a sentence. We make use of a period of full stop to mark the end of a sentence, and it is just a dot that goes at the end there. We also make use of a period of full stop in declarative sentences. In declarative sentences, we make use of a period of full stop. And then we have what we call an ellipsis. An ellipsis shows a pause or omitted words. For example, we have the sentence that says, the hunter stopped and listened, and then we have three dots, which are ellipses, and eventually had the distinct sound of rams butting heads. And then moving on, we have a comma. A comma is used for many purposes, and there are four common uses. The first common use is to separate elements in a series. The first use of a comma is to separate elements in a series. For instance, their flag is red, yellow, green, and blue. And then you also use a comma to connect two independent clauses joined by a conjunction. They went to the fair, and Paul and Wanda decided to volunteer for the dunk tank. So we use a comma in these sentences when we join two independent clauses. We are going to discuss independent clauses at a later stage. And then we also use comma to set off introductory elements. For instance, the following morning, the team boarded the bus for the long trip home. And we also use a comma to set off parenthetical elements. For instance, the admission of guilt offered without any prompting sealed his fate. In this sentence, we have used commas to set off parenthetical elements. And then we have the semicolon, which is used to connect two or more closely related independent clauses, or to put it more simply, it connects related thoughts. One reason why we use a semicolon to connect related independent clauses is because we don't want to commit what we call a comma splice. So whenever you have two independent clauses and there's no conjunction, and you only join them with a comma, you end up committing what we call a comma splice, which is a sentence error. So to avoid this, we need to make use of a semicolon. For instance, the tree cut diagonally across the trail, a blackened portion suggests it was felled by lightning. And then we have a colon, which is used for emphasis and to indicate a list, quotation, or that an explanation will follow. For instance, she had much to do that day: file a petition, buy groceries, drive a daughter to soccer practice, and take the dog to the vet. And then we have the question mark. Now this one, I want to emphasize on the question mark, because when it comes to writing, there are instances where we make use of what we call question sentence or interrogatory sentences. Now, whenever you have a question sentence, it doesn't end with a question mark, you always end up getting a wrong mark. So it is very important that whenever you are writing a sentence that is questioning something, it ends with a question mark. So we say a question mark shows that the query has been posed. For instance, we have a sentence that says, "Why did you throw your trumpet across the bedroom?" And then lastly, we have a dash. So we say a dash is used for emphasis, to set off a parenthetical material, and to set off introductory material, among other things. So we say that dash is quite versatile. It can often be used instead of semicolons, commas, and colons. So sometimes we can use a dash in place of a semicolon, a commas, and also colons. For instance, we have a sentence that says, "When George took the shot, dash is first of the game dash his sister Mary held a breath. So we use a dash here instead of using commas. And then we have the exclamation mark. An exclamation mark is used sparingly to express strong feeling. An exclamation mark is used to express strong feeling. We find exclamation marks in imperative sentences and also when you're using interjections, because you're trying to express strong emotions. So if you're reading a sentence that ends with a question mark, you have to read it with great emotions. For instance, great move. That was brilliant. You have to show the emotion. So whenever you're using an exclamation mark, we are trying to show that there's a great emotion in this sentence. And then we have quotation marks that indicate a dialogue or set of quoted passages. And they also indicate that the word is being emphasized, and it also used to punctuate titles. If you are writing a book analysis, when you're going to talk about the title of that book, you have to put it under quotation marks. So you have, for example, here, the meeting will start in 5 minutes. The meeting will start in 5 minutes. Paul said. This is a quoted passage or a quoted sentence. And you also have, the car was decorated with toilet paper. Decorated is put under quotation mark to show what? To show emphasis. And then we have the apostrophe, which is used in contraction to form some plural and also to form possessives. For instance, we have a sentence that says, if they left, they wouldn't have seen the volcano erupt. In this first sentence, we use the apostrophe in the word they'd and also in the word wouldn't. Why? We use it also to show these words are contractions. Wouldn't is a contraction of would not. And then we also got she got straight A's. Because she got straight A's. In this sentence, we use the apostrophe to show the pluralities of A's that she got. And then we have Brian's snowboard is expensive. In this sentence, we use an apostrophe to show the possessive, to show that the snowboard belongs to Brian. Okay, now let's look at what we call synonyms and antonyms. So we say synonyms are words with the same or similar meaning. These are words such as happy, cheerful, and merry, and also jubilant, and so on. There are also words such as sad, miserable, and heartbroken. All these words have similar meanings. And then we have antonyms. These are words with opposite meanings, words such as angry and peaceful. These two words, they are opposite. They have opposite meanings. And also funny and serious. These are antonyms. And then we have homographs and homophones. So we say homographs refer to a set of words that share the same spelling but different meaning regardless of their spelling. So these words, they have the same spelling, but then they have different meanings. For instance, we have wound, the word wound. The word wound can refer to an injury. But it can also refer to the past tense of the word wind. Same spelling, but then different meaning. And then we have bed. A bed can be a bed. It can also be an act of hitting the wall with a bat. And then we have dove. A dove can be a bed, and it is also the past tense of dive. So, homograph, these are words that have the same spelling but in different meanings. And then we have homophones. Homophone refers to a set of words that share the same pronunciation but in different meanings. Therefore, the main difference between homograph and homophone is that homographs have the same spelling but in different meaning, whereas homophones have the same pronunciations but in different meanings. For instance, fit and fit. These are words that have the same pronunciations but in different meanings. Stay and stare, the same pronunciation. Here and here, whole and whole, grown and grown, waste and waste, dear and dear, hill and hill. these words, they all have the same pronunciation, but then they have different meanings. And then we are going to look at what we call a formal and informal letter. Remember we said in this module we are going to look at some of the underlying rules that govern our writing. So we say letters are a form of verbal and written communication which contains information or message sent by one party to another to convey a certain message. It is sent by one party to another to provide certain important information, and then there are two types of letters. We have a formal letter and an informal letter. The formal letter is written for business or professional purpose with a specific objective in mind. It uses simple language that can be easy to read and interpret. So, when you're writing a business letter, a formal letter, this is a letter that uses a formal language. In a formal letter, we do not use contractions. In a formal letter, we have to set the tone. We also have to align our writing style to the context in which we are writing. And then on the contrary, we say informal letters are written to friends and relatives for personal communication and uses a casual or emotional tone. The article excerpt presents you all the important difference between the formal and informal letters in a detailed manner. So this is the excerpt we are talking about. When it comes to the meaning, a formal letter is a letter written in formal language in the stipulated format, and it is used for official purpose. Whereas an informal letter is written in a friendly manner to someone you are familiar with, and it is called an informal letter. When you're writing a formal letter, sometimes you're writing to somebody you have never met before. So your language has to be formal, and it has to be straight to the point. There's this abbreviation I love to use. When you're writing a formal letter, it should be KISS. What do you mean? You must keep it simple and short. Keep it simple and short. So the objective of a formal letter is professional communication, whereas the objective of an informal letter is personal communication. The format of a formal letter is written in a prescribed format only, while for an informal letter, there is no prescribed format. So business letter is written in the first person, and we use business letters, first person for business letters, and third person for other formal letters, such as maybe if you're writing to a certain minister, or you're writing to your school principal, you must use third person. Whereas in the informal letter, you can use first person, second person, or third person. It all depends on you. And in a formal letter, it's written to business, it's written to institutions, to employers, organizations, etc. Whereas an informal letter is written to friends, families, and acquaintances. When it comes to formal letter, we use passive voice, while in informal letter, we use active voice. The sentences in a formal letter are long and complex, whereas in an informal letter, they are short and simple. The size of a formal letter is concise, and for an informal letter, it depends on you. It can be large or concise. In a formal letter, we avoid using contractions and abbreviations. Whereas in an informal letter, you can use contractions and abbreviations. So these are the difference between a formal letter and an informal letter. So with that, guys, we have come to the end of our presentation. If you have any question or any queries, you might contact me on my cell phone number or my email that is being displayed on the screen, and I will attend to your queries at any time. With that, guys, good luck with your assignment and your examination. Bye-bye.